I do
All
at
right.
5:30, Lindsay, if we're good to go.
Yeah, we're good to go. Marilyn will be along.
Great, thanks.
So I will call the Monday, March 18th, 2024 meeting to order. This meeting of the Community Preservation Committee is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. In accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, the chair must inquire whether anyone is recording this meeting, and please make your presence known. Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Marilyn Fifield, Deb Converse,
Here.
Catherine Garofoli,
Here.
Tom Lee,
Here.
Farley Lewis,
Here.
and Lindsay Council's here. Terry Duenas and Steve Robichaud had said they won't be able to make it. Terry may join us later. And we have one member of the Rec Commission here, Sharon Brown, as an observer, which is great. Glad to have someone from Rec on board.
Oh, we need it.
Welcome.
I believe we have 5 members present, so we could act on the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the draft Community Preservation Committee regular meeting minutes from January 22nd, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Any changes, additions? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Deb Converse,
I have to abstain.
Catherine Garofoli,
Yes.
Tom Lee,
Yes.
Farley Lewis,
Yes.
and Lindsay Council votes yes. Very good. We got that done. Now, we did have 5 letters of intent that we were going to present tonight. However, the town manager has not signed off on them yet. So that will have to be postponed. But we do have Mark Marinaccio here to give us an update on some of the existing projects that he has going on. And there's a few of them.
No.
So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Mark.
Good evening. Thank you, Lindsay. Mark Marinaccio, I'm the town architect with Public Works. And I have a couple of updates on the playground projects, and I'm going to share my screen here. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
We can.
Right.
What happened?
I
Oops.
don't know what happened. Zoom unexpectedly failed. Let's see. So you can see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Let me get out of this again and start over.
Okay,
Good.
There we go.
Yep.
good.
I'm sharing, but I just can't read anything. There we go. Okay. So this first project is an update on the Austinville playground that was funded.
We
just lost it.
Yeah, there's a problem. So I just got a failed problem with Zoom. Maybe I won't do the slideshow. I'll just show the slides individually. I'll try that.
Okay.
And sharing has failed. I guess I can't share my screen. What
Alright.
I will need to do is I will need to bounce out of Zoom and come back in. How does that sound?
Sure.
So, Lindsay, are we not going to cover any letters of intent this evening?
Nope, we are not.
Okay.
We've got to get a sign off from the manager and we don't have that yet.
Okay. Got it.
My only comment was that's a lot of projects,
That's a lot of projects.
a
Yeah.
lot of money.
And a lot of money.
I even used my calculator to total it up.
I didn't do that yet. What was the total you came up with?
I think it's probably close to 7 million.
Yeah, it was. It was. Just in historic, it was 5,000,007, almost 5,600,000, and rec was, well, open space and rec was over 1 million. And no housing.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
heard anything from the trust on that at all, Deb? Is there any
Yeah,
movement over there?
I've been watching the excruciatingly processed meetings. They're making some progress, but it's slow going. I thought Ruth had all the process figured out, but I guess not. But it's like 2 here, 5 there, you know.
Right.
So.
All right, Mark's back.
I'm back. I will try again.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not going to start the slideshow because that's what messed me up last time. So I'll just scroll through these slides. But this is the Oxford Playground. We have a working design that we have been working with Real Associates, our playground designer, and a steering group that was appointed by the town manager. And this is the site. If you're familiar with the site at all, this is the existing tennis courts that are there. This is gray box is the edge of the Verizon building. And here's the property line, and there's a lot right next to the tennis courts that was slated for the playground. And this is the plan that Real Associates put together. It has of course, this is West Bay Road.
Mhm.
And there's a sidewalk here. We're proposing a new sidewalk connection, expanding the parking lot slightly in here, putting a little retaining wall here to flatten out this site. And then, of course, put a fence around the playground. And this is a climbing structure that's connected to another play structure. This is what's called the We Go Round, which is like a merry-go-round. This is a 4-bay swing. There's a tandem swing that's been very popular in other places. Of course, a accessible swing, the belt swing, and then the young child swing. There's also another element here. There's shade. There's also some music elements. And as we go through this, I'll show you some 3D. So again, here's the tennis courts. This is the Verizon building that's next door. And here is the play structures. This would be where one of the gates are. There'd be another gate here and a third gate down towards West Bay Road. This is kind of entering into the playground area along the new sidewalk. This is when you step inside the playground. This is that slide that we just walked past looking down the playground. So this is a climbing structure here. There is this kind of theme is a kind of an aqua theme. This is kind of a coral colored element. These kind of represent, I guess, some type of seaweed type element. You know, these colors kind of all tie in with that aquatic theme. This is a unique structure here that has some jumping and tubes and slides. This is from the other angle up in the air. So this is the West Bay Road tennis courts parking over here. So here you can see this is a oyster shack play structure. Of course, musical play equipment, swings again. Shade structure, this is a shaded play piece of equipment. Well, you know there's going to be fence. This fence really hasn't been picked out yet, but it'll be some type of urban fence. There's also these play elements here that are boards with different play elements to them. So I'll go back up to the top here. I had some points. So one of the goals that the playground group wanted to put forth is shaded play. There's a lot of playgrounds that don't have a lot of shade, and that's one of the complaints that we've had with some of the playgrounds. They would climbing and jumping features, monkey bars, slides. They like the we go round element, swings, toddler swings. There's a tandem swing, accessible swing, a toddler swing, and of course the belt swings that we're all familiar with. Playhouse, some type of playhouse, musical elements. There's a scavenger hunt inside part of the play. There's an open play space that for running and playing, a port and place surfacing, and a bottle filling station. So right now, this is with under the advisory group review. They're selecting colors and tweaking some of the port in place. There's talk about maybe putting like hopscotch in the port in place and some other elements with the surfacing. Let's talk about using these benches here, actually having some tables and sitting areas that have maybe chessboards or checkerboards or some type of play on the surface. And of course, benches. So some of this is still, being adjusted and modified, but this is the basic theme that they felt was appropriate for Osterville. See, Oyster Shack. Scavenger hunt. This may change to something else, some other theme. And then this is the master plan for the next phase, which would include this kind of accessible comfort station, the tennis, street hockey court, and then some expanded parking off of level road. And of course, completing the planting. We've already started some planting along First Ave, but we finished some of the trees and the planting there. So this is all under design and discussion, but you may see some of this come forward in the future for a request. If you have any questions on what that so far, any of these
Members, questions?
I have a question.
Go for it.
So for the, I guess all of the structures, especially the ones that have visuals that the kids can engage in, over time, I've seen at a variety of playgrounds that the sun can really like fade out some of those features over time. Do you have like any idea if the town is going to have some reserve funds to replace some of the equipment over time? I mean, I know that newly installed equipment should have a pretty good shelf life for a period of time, but at some point, some of these things are going to need to get replaced if they fade out or things like that. Can you talk a little bit about the town's capacity to plan for something like that outside of community preservation?
Yeah, I'll use Luke's Love as an example. So the maintenance there is basically under structures and grounds. And so there's a user group there that's very active in that playground. And so if somebody from the town doesn't see, if we have a safety inspection and, there's nothing at that time, but then weeks later, there's a problem with the surfacing, something like that, they're really good at notifying us, and we put together, we basically notify the playground manufacturer. If it's in warranty, it gets repaired. If not, they end up paying for it to get replaced or repaired. We had a problem with the surfacing last year underneath the swings, which tends to be the first place that rubber surfacing wears out, as well as at the bottom of the slides. And they couldn't patch it right away. So we had purchased some of those playground pads in coordination with Real Associates. They took a look at it. They determined what should go there, because the pour in place is weather dependent. You really can't pour it in the cold weather. It has to be, like May, June, July, August, September to install it. So once the weather warmed up, they came and they patched it, and you could hardly tell the difference between the old and the new. We do have safety inspection. Real Associates been hired for safety inspections at a number of the playgrounds, and she's conducting those. And as she goes along, worn parts or whatever will get replaced. And that usually all happens through structure of the grounds. If it's a larger project where a piece of equipment actually has to get replaced, that would come to us, and we would seek funding through a capital program or something like that to actually replace a large piece of equipment that's $50,000 or more.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I had a couple questions, Mark.
Sure.
Has the community center come down yet, or?
Yep. Let me show you the site plan. It's on this site plan here.
I saw a
You
ghostly
can
image
see
of it.
this. Yeah, I see this ghost image right now.
Yep.
That's been
Yes.
demolished. All the hazardous materials have been trucked away. The debris is there. We now have the contractor was required to have a surveyor come out. He has been contacted. He's coming out to set these grades. And this hill that went up against the buildings will eventually be removed, so that we can actually complete the outfield that was impacted by the corner of that building for the field. So these are actually the contours that are in the contract documents right now to have replaced as part of the removal of that building. So the building's down, it's just dirt right now. We'll regrade, and then we'll be able to plant grass in this couple weeks.
All right, and that'll be part of a different, finishing the field and all that's part of a different,
There's $22,000 left in the field project, so that any funding that we need to complete the field will come out of that, as well as finish the planting out there.
okay. And I assume the purple surface, that's not a final decision.
No, this was part of the that aqua, what did we call it? We called it an abstract aquatic theme. So they kind of, you notice here, it's kind of like a splash. So, what's appropriate for Osterville? We went through a long list, went through a big presentation for actual themes. I mean, you could do a zoo theme, you could do a Western theme. I mean, what's appropriate for Osterville? There's hundreds of different playground equipment themes. And so really the initial one was kind of this artistic abstract theme. And a number of committee group members wanted to, really push the waterfront theme. So this was kind of Real Associates turned around in 2 weeks and kind of put an aquatic flavor on this. And they're kind of determining what's appropriate there now. And that's kind of in group discussion. Last Thursday they met, and I think they're meeting again this week to discuss colors and surface colors and that type of thing.
Okay, great. And then the last thing I had, were these awnings and things seasonal? Will they be taken up and down every?
They're seasonal. They're similar to what we have over at the pickleball courts. There's a shade structure there. So yeah, these are fabric. They would come down in the fall and be put back up.
All right, and that would be programmed in through
Structures and
structures?
grounds. Structures and grounds takes care of all of that. It's part of their spring work.
Okay, and I see there's no plantings around this, so it's too tight an area and.
No, there's discussion of plantings. When it was this aquatic theme, there was suggestions of putting like beach grass in certain areas and doing plantings, but we're not really there yet. We're still working with what type of play do you want in the space? What is that equipment? How does it work together? What should kind of that overall theme be? We think this is a great idea as far as we've been working with Real Associates, but this has to go through the advisory group and then go out to the community and have some community feedback from it. So we're really at the beginning stages of this playground.
All right, very good then. Members, any other questions?
I got a
All
question.
right. Yes, go ahead, Tom.
Mark, and for this project, what kind of timeline are you looking at right now? You're just looking at different themes and color and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
So-
well, this is a working plan that was based off of discussions and suggestions with the steering group that was appointed by the town manager. I would like to wrap this up pretty quickly. I mean, I think they're talking about colors right now. We're not really, I don't know, really think that they're talking about changing equipment. We have a lot of buy-in. I think if I took a vote today, you know, they would agree on this playground, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to disenfranchise anybody. We want to have, you know, kind of a group agreement on this. And then we would take it to the community and get their feedback from it as far as play. I have a video of this piece of equipment that's been put in other places with all the play. There's monkey bars in here. There's a jumping, kind of climbing rubber surface in there. I mean, there's a lot of things to do, amazing things to do. There's monkey bars underneath a walkway that's up above and climbing. I don't have that for this presentation, but I could send that out to you guys and you could see it. It's actually a pretty amazing piece of equipment.
So, but it sounds like, you know, it's nothing is going into construction until probably in the next spring or something, right?
It could be, well, I mean, I don't have a definite timeline only because we're at the beginning of this project and discussing it. If we solidify this week, I would probably be in construction documents inside of a month, and then those would probably take about 2 months, and we could be bidding this in the fall.
Okay.
If we turn around and say, no, this isn't what we want to do, and we're back at ground zero, then we're still working on it, right?
Yeah. I'll be interesting to know what the bid comes in.
Well, this playground equipment right now is at our budget of $350,000. And then we have a budget number for install, and then we have a separate budget for surfacing.
Yeah. But because of the inflation and all this stuff right now.
Yeah,
You know.
well, I'm trying. That's why I'm right now in the process of ordering the equipment for Centerville. Because we have a guaranteed price through the month, and that's at legal right now for our contract in order for them to purchase that equipment.
Okay.
Which brings to the next project.
Thank you.
So this is a presentation on the Centerville Playground. We're in construction documents right now. We've been meeting for about 1.5 years with the steering group for that project. They were looking for a nautical theme for the playground. This was the existing site plan. Back in 2014, we were asked by Patty Machado with the rec department to look at this site because there was no handicapped accessibility into the existing playground. So we did a study in-house and determined that there was, I believe, a 12 or 14-foot drop from this existing parking lot into the playground. There had been attempts to make a walkway here that didn't meet any code requirements at all, that failed. And that really, there was not an efficient way other than putting in a handicapped ramp to get down into the space.
Unknown caller.
So we put together a capital improvement plan and put out a request for redoing the playground and actually installing a parking lot in a lower elevation here in order to ease the distance between the playground and getting to your vehicle. There was also at the time the field study that was being completed, and it had recommended that this field become a multi-purpose field. So we were going along with that field study as well as working with the rec department to kind of solve this problem here. So as you see here, we're proposing a new parking area. I mean, parking on the site is limited to begin with. We're really planning to put in a playground that's going to be a destination playground. So we knew we needed to add more parking. And so what happens if we regrade this and drop the grade down? I don't affect the existing septic system here, but I get people and vehicles down to this level, which is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 feet lower than the existing parking lot. And then by bringing 2 feet of fill into the hollow, I can then do a sidewalk access at 1 and 20 to get down into the playground. So the new parking lot drops the grade, gives us 10 additional parking spaces, which include 4 handicapped accessible spaces. Creates a new accessible path down to that playground area. This retaining wall has failed. So as part of this work, we are going to repair that and put in a new retaining wall that's not made out of railroad ties. While we were going through this design process, we had 2 outreach meetings to the community. There was a huge outcry from the community about losing the ball field. We really never targeted the field. We had always planned space for a number of things to happen in this location. But because I had funding for the parking lot and for the playground, that was the focus. So that kind of outcry from the community refocused us, and we said, okay, well, what was there? What can fit there? I went through a little bit of a design process to do that. Let's see. I thought I had those slides here. Yep, so here's the slide. So we said, what was this field? So this is a regulation Little League field superimposed on what was there. It had a short infield, didn't meet the requirements of Little League, and it had a short infield. You see the property line here? So we knew it wasn't a regulation field that was there. The only field that really fit is what's called a Pinto League field. It had smaller for younger children, had a smaller infield, and had an outfield that fit within the existing parameters. But in discussions, the community really didn't want that. They were really looking for a regulation Little League infield with a shorter outfield. And that's kind of what we designed here and what fits into the site. Whether that moves forward or not, we're just designers, and we put together the program for that, and we recognize the need for that, and then other people really make the decision. We at DPW, we basically look at the problem, help solve the problem, but then we get our marching orders and we fulfill what we're asked to do. So this is the playground that the steering group helped put together. We have a seating area that's shaded here, a new connection to Main Street. If you ever walk this path right now, it's all rutted from the trees. It's really a hazard. So we're going to create a raised platform with stairs down from Main Street. This here is the handicapped accessible path from the parking. And then a new retaining wall system here is being worked out, and of course, new steps to get down the playground. The citizens of Centerville really wanted to minimize the amount of poured in place. So this blue represents a darker blue poured in place. This band right here would be a lighter blue poured in place, and then this surround is going to be artificial turf. There's a number of playground structures. This is what we call the tree house. This is a shipwreck. This is a we-go-round, a teeter-totter. Of course, swings. This is a climbing structure of a sea lion, a ship play structure, and this is called the crab trap. So here you have the playground equipment, the swings, the we-go-round, the play ship. These are not to scale. The tree house, and this is called the crab trap. Crab trap, you can climb on it and then get into it from the top. You can climb through it, and you can also climb inside, and there's various things to do inside. It's kind of a neat climbing structure. And of course, the ship all this is accessible. It has a structure here that slides and tubes that connect, and various play elements in the ship, as well as the treehouse, which is really for younger children, 2 to 5 year olds. And then there's a little surfboard here, balancing board, and the seesaw. And then right now there is the shipwreck and the sea lion, which are climbing structures. I don't have funding for these. It's about $63,000 for these 2 elements. I'm going to carry them as an alternate. If I can afford them, we'll buy them. If not, then they will not be included part of the budget. And I guess, are there any questions about that?
Any questions, members? I had one real quick one. So there won't be a need for a retaining wall on the street side.
There's this existing slope here, and this traditionally has not had a what's the term I'm looking for? I can't the word, a guardrail on it. But we are looking to install a guardrail there. Of course, we would want that camouflage with some type of picket fence or something, but that is being worked out. That really wasn't part of this project because what happened is the playground's in here now, and we're sliding that playground away. One of the issues is we knew we wanted to bring Phil in here, but the neighbor has a garage building here that has a lower access. And so we really can't raise the grade too much or we're affecting water flow on our neighbor's property, which we can't do. So we can bring about 2 feet, 2.5 feet of fill in here. We've slid the playground kind of to the left on this plan. And so we're further away from the road, but because of issues there, and this has been recognized as a concern about the steep slope, we're looking at a guardrail system at that point.
Do a wooden guardrail and then cover it with a picket fence?
That was our initial thought. Really that we're working with engineering right now because based on the size of the road, the speed and the slope of protection, there's different types of guardrails that have to go there. So they're leaning right now towards one of those steel guardrails because that can take a heavier load if there's an accident. But we're still working with. This is a relatively new issue we're dealing with right now, which got wrapped up with the retaining wall failure and all that.
Steel, really? I mean, where do they go? 30 miles an hour on Main Street? I would think
Basically the width. Yeah, I mean, all streets. It's very interesting. I did take transportation engineering in college, so it was very interesting. Not something I want to do for a living, but you ever notice you go down some roads like a race lane and the speed limit is 35 miles an hour and it feels like you go 60 on it. That's because the road's designed for a certain speed and is limited by the speed limit sign, right? So, you go on Main Street and it's pretty straight, but it's a neighborhood, so you're kept there. But the road may be designed for a higher speed than actually what the speed limit is. And so all that is taken into account based on the width of the road and the length and the straightaway and all that. And we're working with engineering on picking out what type of barrier is proper there.
People are pretty slow on Main Street in Centerville.
It should be.
I just hope it's not some hideous thing that, we regret when it's over.
Well, you know me, I'm all about aesthetics. And so the village is what the village is. It's a historic village and there has to be that feel to it. And that's what we're looking to do.
And the other question, so you haven't finalized the planting plan in here? I know shade's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, we have this, let me get back to the good slide. This sitting area with shade. There's trees. Let's see this foliage here along here that is not being disturbed. So there is shade in the afternoon, shade in the morning. But this was what we as a committee, as a group, actually steering group kind of has selected. So this is what it is. We have shade on there. So a lot of playgrounds don't have any shade, but we do have a shaded seating area there for people to get out and eat. And there will be a bottle filling station as part of this as well.
So I imagine you're going to have to put pretty extensive drainage under this.
Yeah, this is the low part here. So this grading here is existing and this grade is lifted a foot. We're going to protect the existing tree. And this is the low part. This is where we'll put, drainage structure in here. And this pitch is a foot across the playground to this point. So the water all flows in this direction. This will be the low point.
So will there be any opportunity to plant on the building side where the
this all
of the
right
walkway?
Here, all this riprap, all this railroad ties, all rotted. It's all going to come out. Putting the slope. We're talking about doing right now wildflower mix in here, so it really doesn't have to get maintained, and it would control any erosion and then in the summer course it would be beautiful. And then there will be some planting of trees or whatnot as part of this.
And then behind the new block wall, is that just going to be a straight wall? Is that going to be stepped back or?
We have an engineering team working on that now. Actually, I'm getting prices from an engineering team. The thing is, it's a straight wall, but it may step back one tier.
Yeah, you could plant a tier and then put some plantings on the lower. level. That would,
Yep. If it's this configuration, there would have to be a guardrail at the top. And maybe this would be a grass area at the top. The problem with
Okay.
step, there's one thing I'm trying to keep away from is there are different wall designs, and if you do a stepped wall, a lot of times you have people who are interested in climbing it. So I'm trying to deter that desire to climb this wall.
well, you're not expanding the parking area, right? It's still going to be
Nope.
pretty much,
The parking lot's the same. It's at the edge of the driveway here, so I'm at the top. It would just be expanded green space, a planting space at the top.
yeah, I would rather see plantings. That's a difficult little patch to mow.
Yep.
I wouldn't, plant it up there and,
Yeah, there's also a sewer line that's designed for Main Street, and so we've been talking to engineering about how exactly we are going to get there from here. The basement of this building is where the sewer line flows out and then connects to the septic system out back. So there's a grinder ejector pump system that needs to be put in this place and then pumped up to this level and out to the street, gravity fed out to the street. So that's all in discussion as part of this piece as well.
So what's the target date for this to be ready?
Well, if everything goes according to schedule and there's no interference, we're talking about August of 2025.
Optimistic.
I have a question.
sure.
So can you provide, it's going to sound a little bit extreme, but like assurances when you're talking about plantings and potentially using wildflower mix, there are a lot of wildflower mixes that claim to be native to the Northeast, but in fact are not always. Can you confirm that the town would do the due diligence to make sure that we're planting native species in this space?
Yeah, well, we coordinate with Structures and Grounds as part of that. Over at Lombard Field, all of that was worked through with our grounds department, and they have certain criteria that they follow. We can't use weed killer and pesticides and all that. So we work with them closely about the type of grass that we're planting and the type of foliage. We work with the tree warden, so they're all up on that and get recommendations from them. I'm not a planting expert or a tree expert. I go to other people and wrap them in, but I will be definitely asking that question and making sure that I'm realizing that's a concern.
All right. Any other questions? Seeing none. Mark, any other updates on other projects you want to share with us?
No, that was the only two.
Okay, great.
We had a pre-bid meeting at the Payne Black House today, but we had no contractors show up, so we're going to be trying to drum up some interest for that project.
And how about the work on the Burgess House? That looks great over there. That new walk, everything.
Yeah, we have some funding for window restorations. We started that project last year. And we got into existing conditions there, but we had the flood at the Hyannis Golf Course that took a lot of our time and a lot of our attention. So we will be, I have a new person starting April 1st, and we will be getting back into that project.
Very good. Any other questions for Mark from members? All right.
Oh,
We'll
thank
see you
Mark.
soon, I hope.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, moving on in the agenda. We have no applications. So we'll move on to correspondence. We did get a mailing from the local comprehensive plan group about the series of upcoming public village meetings on the current phase of the local comprehensive plan, which is going to include the existing sections we've done, natural resource, open space, as well as infrastructure. And so if you can make one of those meetings, we'd love to see you and get your comments in. Very important plan that'll help the town council set policy going forward. And we'll be doing that for the entire month of April. And then we have other sections that are coming up, including ones with housing and historic preservation and design. Those will be the third phase of that, which will be coming along in June, July. And we'll have another round of public meetings for those. So from that, I move to project updates. First one is the Wheeler Road grant. Currently, this closing is scheduled for June 2024. And we are also scheduling the hearing before the Town Council Conservation and Open Space Committee for the CR on that. As well as we do have the 3 CRs, the most outstanding CRs are also moving. It's not on our list here, but Arju, Prince Ave, and Amaral are also moving to committee. Finally, after many years. Matter of fact, the Conservation Commission will be looking at those coming this Tuesday, right, Tom?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. So we'll be there to support those.
Yeah, be very excited to see those finally approved and processed.
Yes.
I heard a rumor about those, and I don't know whether to believe it or not, but those actually were set aside in someone's desk and just completely forgotten about.
Oh,
So that's took a while for them to recover, but they did expedite them as soon as they realized. And
yeah.
I gotta give our legal department credit. They have moved those with light speed
Good. Good.
over there. Great job.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, well, the next one on the list is even longer.
The
The Mills property.
mill. Right.
The conservation restriction that was to be granted to the Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife is actually before the Mashpee Selectmen tonight for approval on that and or additional approval for selling the half interest to Barnstable. So as soon as the results of that meeting are known, we'll be able to schedule a closing on that property. And that will complete the Santuit Pond Preserve purchase of the original land included in that.
Wow. What
So-
year was
It's been going on, it's about 14 years, I think, 14, 15 years since we started on that.
Yeah.
So again, these CRs, they can take time. And then Tom and I went over and checked out the Unitarian Church, and that project is complete. There's some checklist stuffs that we gave them, connecting some downspouts and things, but that's substantially complete over there. Work continues on the old Colonial Courthouse building that springs back, and they'll be finishing up that handicap ramp over there. So that'll be good to get that wrapped up for their season, their speaker season. And they'll have access to that building. And we just heard about the access and development projects that Mark gave us. So that's what I had for updates on our current projects. Anybody have any other questions? Seeing none, we're going to look at the format for the April 22nd meeting. You want to stay electronic on these?
Yes, remote.
That'll be great. Stay
Lindsay?
remote. Any objections to that?
No. Could we, for the next meeting, maybe add an item about the annual meeting?
I was just going to bring that up.
Oh, well, great mind.
Ellen had some dates, which I don't have in front of me. Ellen, do you have those dates?
I have them somewhere to do something.
I didn't print that email. It was a regularly scheduled meeting. We just needed to pick one.
Yeah. The latest would probably be the best, right?
Not necessarily. I don't think we're going to make a big effort with speakers and all of that this
Yeah,
time.
that's what I wondered, if we wanted to do what we usually do, which is not much, or if we wanted to have a nice program like Kat arranged last year.
Well, let's see if.
So next time we could talk about that maybe.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Do you have a preference for a meeting? I mean, I might be away in August. I was looking at July.
Yeah, not after July. I think it's too much, too far.
Yeah, I think the July meeting will know what our budget is for the year, and
Yeah.
we could discuss closing out projects and like that.
Yeah,
You want to let's tentatively schedule it for the July meeting. Ellen, go ahead.
For the July meeting, that would be the 15th.
Yep.
July 15th.
Mm-hmm.
Let's tentatively schedule that,
okay,
and we can confirm at the April meeting if we want to invite speakers. I think the appropriate speaker at that meeting might be someone from the Housing Trust. I mean, we're pretty good solid. We see Mark with rec and
Yeah.
open space. I'd really like to get an update, and hopefully by that date, the housing production plan will be complete. That's not done yet either. And we'll be in the middle of discussing housing and that through the local comprehensive plan committee. So maybe let's just talk housing. How about that?
that would be nice because it's not getting enough attention.
Yeah.
Nothing is.
Well,
really,
it gets plenty of talk. There's lots of talk, but no action.
yeah, it's been like that for 40 years. Talk.
And I think, personally, in order to get anything done, we need incentives. There's not enough incentive for people to do it.
Mm,
And with market rate rentals at through the roof, why would anybody?
yeah.
So anyway, that's just my 2 cents in a short blast. But let's
But I think,
look at,
I think this town needs to step up a little and, create more possibilities. That's all. Not true.
so let's throw those two things on. Ellen, you'll remind me when it comes to the agenda for that April meeting that those were the two topics on that. Any other discussion on that formats and things? I don't think we see any public here, so there'll be no public comments. Any other matters before the group?
So the items that were on earlier, which aren't ready to be voted on yet, will they be pared down at all?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea what the status is. We just received word that the manager, we didn't have the actual signed approval, so we were postponing. There is $7 million worth of stuff on that list. Maybe somebody did the math and decided that it needed some reconsideration.
I would say.
So anyway,
Okay.
we'll see what comes.
Mhm.
So I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I'll call the roll. Marilyn Fifield?
Yes.
Oh, she's
Deb
here.
Yeah, she
Yes.
snuck in.
Yeah.
Deb Converse,
Yes.
Catherine Garofoli,
Yes.
Tom Lee,
Yes.
Farley Lewis,
Yes.
and Lindsay Council votes yes. Very good, folks. Thank you, and
Okay.
we'll see you in April.
Nice